The Saints win their 4th game in a row on a rainy Green Bay afternoon as the defense continues to gain confidence. Plus, Ed Ogeron and the Tigers get the best of Ole Miss. Tulane nearly pulls off a huge comeback. Nichols and Southeastern are hitting their stride, and the Pelicans hope to get win number 1 tonight in L.A.
This is the last word on sports. 4th Down on 4 starts now.
The Saints outgained Green Bay today by more than 200 yards. They made an inexperienced quarterback look bad. They took care of business. I'm Doug Mouton. Welcome to 4th Down on 4. A couple numbers that stick out. The Saints hit on 8 of 15 third downs. That's 53%, which is terrific. And the Packers passed for a grand total of 79 yards. It was a complete win, as Ricardo LeCompte reports from Wisconsin.
History isn't kind to the New Orleans Saints at Lambeau Field. A 1-4 record at the iconic stadium coming into Sunday's game. And the start to the contest served as a reminder of those struggles. The defense gave up a 46-yard touchdown run to Aaron Jones on the Packers' opening drive.
We had some run fits that we just didn't fit up. Obviously, that touchdown run early in the game spit because of missed run fits, which we got cleaned up, and we did a better job in the rest of the game, and especially in the second half.
Drew Brees killed scoring drives, throwing 2 interceptions in the first quarter. The Saints committing 5 turnovers over the last 4 quarters after not turning over the rock at all in the first 4 games.
Felt like I had the matchups I wanted, just poor throws. So that was disappointing, especially when you're starting to get down in the scoring zone, and you feel like you're kind of just taking the momentum away. But again, you gotta bounce back when that stuff happens.
The Saints eventually settled in using that 2-headed backfield attack of Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram. The rookie tailback tallied 107 yards of total offense, while Ingram ran for 105 yards and a touchdown in the second quarter to tie the game at 7 on a less than ideal turf. Field conditions obviously played a factor in this contest, rain affecting the turf here at Lambeau Field prior to kickoff. And according to running back Mark Ingram, he said head coach Sean Payton wanted them to wear those longer studs in their cleats. And he said if they wore those and they won this game, then he would pay for their pedicures.
When he says to wear studs, some guys still wear moldeds. Like, he was saying wear studs in Wembley, I still wore moldeds, but this week we all wore studs, and I think like Wednesday he was like, I got pedicures for everybody. It just kind of rolled off his tongue, but I was like, okay. Yeah, we coming for them pedicures, so we'll be looking forward to my feet rub.
The Saints gathered their footing, particularly Brees in the second half. He tossed a 22-yard score to Brandon Coleman in the third quarter. The touchdown pass marked Brees' 500th career touchdown throw to close the gap to 14-13. And then led a 10-play, 74-yard drive, which ended in a go-ahead field goal by Will Lutz. Ted Ginn, who led New Orleans with 7 catches for a $141, got the drive started.
I looked like a rookie today out there as a punt returner. I mean, it happened to the best of us. But as a man, I had to pick my play up on offense and just come back and continue just to do and be who I am. And that's just make plays when I'm supposed to make plays.
Brees would score on a rushing touchdown in the fourth quarter to seal his victory. The quarterback on the other side, Brett Hundley, made his first career NFL start Sunday, and it took a half for the Saints to figure him out. Hundley did most of his damage running. Once the D got that in check, they allowed just 87 passing yards total and less than 100 yards of offense in the second half.
We knew he was athletic. We knew coming, he's a Chandler High kid, so he's got greatness in him. He was, under tutelage of Aaron Rodgers for the last, 2.5 years. He's clearly game ready. I'm glad we could get this win out of him.
No matter what happens, we've kind of taught ourselves to just stay in it. Even if we give up a big play on defense, that we'll bounce back. Don't worry. We know the offense got us. I think we're playing good ball on both sides.
The Saints captured that elusive win at Lambeau, and they continue to ride that win streak to 4 games, a vast improvement from the 0-2 start to the season.
Still learning. I think it's not time to come up with any summaries yet. We still have a lot of work ahead of us, and very easily, could have lost a game like this with some of the mistakes. But there's a little bit of resiliency that I'm proud of, and I thought they're fighting, especially in the second half of this game.
Good job, man. Ricardo LeCompte, 4th Down on 4.
All right, good stuff, Ricardo. In the last 2 weeks, the rest of the NFC South is 0-6. The Saints have a half-game lead over Carolina 7 weeks in, and 3 of the next 4 games are at home. It's a chance for the Saints to really make a move. The Bears are here Sunday, then the Bucs, then the Saints go to Buffalo, then the Redskins come to New Orleans. All those are noon starts. Back to Lambeau Field now as Ricardo LeCompte caught up with one of the best who covers the Saints.
All right, let's break down this Saints victory. Joel Erickson from The Advocate joining us. And after 0-2 start, 4 in a row, what, as a general question first, what is the biggest change that you've seen from the Saints these last 4 games?
Well, I think the obvious thing is the defense. They're not blowing assignments. They're not giving up deep balls down the field. I mean, they gave up some big runs today, but they've had some trouble early against running games before. The key is they're not having multiple breakdowns in the secondary, and what that does is it allows you to settle back into the game and end up with a defensive performance that's actually pretty good. They only gave up 256 yards today or something around there. Those are good numbers. Held them to 17 yards. They barely had any passing yards. I know Aaron Rodgers is out, but those are still 3 really good receivers in Devontae Adams, Jordy Nelson, and Randall Cobb. And they didn't really do anything. It's the defense. It's not giving up those big, blown coverage splash plays.
Let's look at the other side of the ball. Drew Brees had 2 early turnovers, and he's able to bounce back, ends up throwing his 500th career touchdown. What have you seen that where Brees doesn't necessarily have to win games like he used to before? Yeah, no, he hasn't. I mean, even the last 2 weeks, he had 2 critical interceptions against Detroit too, or seemed like they were critical, and they ended up winning. And the other thing is they kind of adjusted a little bit. Those 2 interceptions came on plays that were more shot type plays early, and late here in the second half, it was 10 to 15-yard throws, 6-yard throws that Ted Ginn then turns into a 50-yard throw. Shorter, more high percentage stuff that they kind of. He doesn't have to go down the field as much. He doesn't have to make the huge play. He can make the short play, and it ends up working out for them. And the other thing is, I think getting Teron Armstead back on that left side has been a big deal. Not that Ryan Ramczyk or Andrus Peat wasn't playing well, but Armstead is really good at getting downfield and making those blocks the second level that turn a 4-yard run into a 10-yard run. We talked to Drew Brees, and he says that he has that, that annoying optimism, and it still kind of works because there's a lot of people on this team that don't have that, I guess, that history of what the Saints have been. You've covered this team for a while. Do you feel like that attitude of the Saints have just overall has just changed? I think you're hearing some of the same things. The thing that stuck out to me today was just, we're getting some questions now about, is this team on a run? Is this team, they're in first place now? What does that mean? And no one's really willing to kind of take that mantle yet. And that's probably a good thing. You don't want them to go into any of these games overconfident, but it seems like they're still going, we're not there yet. We still have some stuff to put together, and that bodes well moving forward for the coaching staff, who can then go in tomorrow and say, okay, defense, you felt like you had a good game? Well, let's look at this Aaron Jones run, or 2 or 3 Aaron Jones runs. We're going against the Bears running game next week. It allows you to keep getting better. It keeps the motivation there, and it seems to be working, just getting better week to week. It's working right now. We've heard it before, but it's working right now. Joel, thank you very much. The Saints win their 4th in a row for the first time since 2013.
Coming up, we'll head to Oxford, where Matt Canada and the LSU offense hung 40 on the Rebels as the Tigers prepare for Alabama after their bye week. Plus, a furious Tulane comeback came up just short against South Florida Saturday night at Yeoman. And both the Colonels and the Lions look to be playing some of their best football right now. In 2 weeks, LSU and Alabama will play in prime time in a game you can see here on Channel 4. The Tigers' final tune-up before that trip to Tuscaloosa was an enormously successful trip to Oxford, Mississippi, as Andrew Doak reports.
Coach O's return to Oxford.
Of Ed Ogeron's 3 SEC wins as LSU's permanent head coach, that win was sweeter than any chicken on a stick or Raising Cane's he could have bought before their flight home.
For players, we wanted to win it for him. He's been outstanding for us, and the things he's done for this football team. And
Coach O didn't talk about it a lot, but we knew we had to pull it off for him.
I just can't wait to get on that plane. I'm so glad I'm an LSU Tiger. Whatever happens, in the past. Like I said, man, we were fortunate to have an SEC job here. It didn't work. Me and my family have let that go. This is just another SEC game for us and another place to play. I'm glad we won.
In Mississippi, LSU got back to playing Tiger football. There were no gimmicks. This was big boy football, big boy defense. And the only tire marks left by LSU in Oxford were from the bus leaving the stadium or Ole Miss defenders who were given the warm welcome that Darius Geis is still a force to be reckoned with.
The way I've been playing this year, this me, injured or not, I don't give excuses saying, oh, I was hurt, this and that. Like, it is what it is, We all came together as a team and we won.
You saw what Darius and Arden did tonight. A lot of great things, and they're huge people, part of this football team. And, I know Coach O doesn't say there's any stars, but you got to watch those guys when they get out there.
Like y'all saw tonight, I think he was 20 yards short of breaking his own record. When he's healthy, he's unstoppable.
We thought that we could run the football on him. But he's finally healthy. And we challenged our team. We needed to run the football. This is a team that could score at any time. We needed to play dominant, control football tonight, run the ball. We did.
Geis set an SEC record, becoming the only player in conference history to notch a third game with over 250-plus rushing yards. The only other players in the neighborhood, Bo Jackson and Herschel Walker.
Geis back healthy and revving the engine.
Geis stole so much of the spotlight that it almost overshadowed another step taken by this LSU defense. For a school dubbed DBU, they fit the bill against the SEC's most daunting passing attack.
I thought our DBs played a heck of a game tonight, considering the passing game that they had. That quarterback is a tremendous player, and so are their receivers.
DBU, that's all I can say. They pride themselves on being defensive back university, and they showed it tonight. And they really stepped up and played big for us. 3 interceptions in one game. That's kind of, cool.
And arguably the league's most dynamic pass rusher from yesteryear, Arden Key, looked like his normal self. Key moved into 6th place on the Tigers' sack list with a pair of sacks and a forced fumble.
The whole defense feed off Arden gets sacks because, when he get a sack, if you watch him after the play, his hype, his momentum, it just makes you want to play even harder.
He had some pressure, and he had a couple sacks, and I think that he's just getting into playing shape right now.
So buy yourself a chicken on a stick, go streaking through the quad, or just go pick yourself a magnolia and stick it in your cap, because LSU is back.
Coach O said he actually ended practice early ahead of their matchup with Ole Miss because he could tell the team was tired. So now they have a full week to be able to rest up, which is good because in 2 weeks they face #1 Alabama, a game in which Ogeron said, it's LSU Alabama. Doesn't get any bigger than that. Reporting on the Tigers, Andrew Doak, 4th Down on 4.
All right, good stuff, Andrew. For Tulane Saturday, another close, disappointing, but encouraging loss. The Wave nearly pulled off a huge upset against unbeaten South Florida.
Quentin Flowers fakes the handoff.
In the end, Quentin Flowers was the difference. South Florida's quarterback is in the Heisman Trophy conversation. And Saturday at Yeoman Stadium, every time the Green Wave had Flowers bottled up, he broke loose.
I never played against a player like him. Good quarterback, good player. I'm lost for words. He can do a lot with his feet.
Flowers ran it for 138 yards and a touchdown as the Bulls built a 34-7 third-quarter lead. But Tulane roared back. Jonathan Banks passed for 221 yards as the Green Wave offense showed good balance against a very good defense.
Throwing the ball over the middle, that's what it's supposed to look like. Throwing, catching, so I think we stepped in the right direction throwing the ball.
It was definitely another step in the right direction for Tulane. Still, though, a loss, 34-28. The Green Wave are 3-4 and clearly close to breaking through.
I told them that's really the best I've seen it since I've been here, where I had a bunch of unselfish people on the sideline really, fighting for each other, and that's good.
It's always good to see a team fight. You don't want to give up. The score could have got ugly, 56-7. We was able to come back within 7. So, that shows our team have a lot of fight in us. We still got a lot of games left in the season, so, it's going to be important. That was real big for our team, to be able to fight through adversity. So I feel like that's going to be good helping us this season.
The Green Wave have 5 games to go, and they need 3 wins to become bowl eligible. Next up, a date with 24th-ranked Memphis on the road Friday night. Only 24 teams qualify for the FCS National Championship Tournament. That's 24 out of 124 schools in that division. So getting in is very difficult. And right now, both Nichols and Southeastern are in the conversation. The Lions won their 5th straight game Saturday. The Colonels had the weekend off. Last Saturday night in Thibodaux, Nichols found a way to win. The Colonels got this blocked punt for a touchdown and got 5 Lauren Fonseca field goals. And even though they got outgained by Abilene Christian, the Colonels won 29-20. Nichols is now 4-1 in conference, ranked 20th in the nation.
Touchdown, Dontrell Taylor.
To think where it was back 3 years ago at 0-12 and really bad program, so it just says a lot about for the people in the area, the people at the school, the coaching staff, and those kids that made a commitment to come and trust in us to come here and to see it turn around. It really feels good.
And the Colonels have found a way to get it done without their quarterback. A shoulder injury has limited sophomore Chase Forcade.
Chase knows he's our guy, he's our leader, he's our bell cow. When he was banged up, it hurt him a little bit. Maybe he wasn't fully recovered last week. He'll be ready to go in 2 weeks, making it for the stretch run.
With Forcade getting healthy, the Colonels now have 4 games to make a run. Only 24 teams will make the FCS tournament. That's 24 out of 124 schools. And for the first time in a long time, Nichols is in the hunt.
Touchdown, Nichols!
And no doubt the revitalization of the program is felt when Tim Rebo recruits.
Headed to the end zone.
You know, when you walk in now with a Nichols on your shirt, it's not really the laughing stock like it used to be a couple of years ago. People have a little pride in it and say, hey, and they realize the success that you're having. So obviously across the board, that helps us tremendously.
The Colonels play 3 of their final 4 games on the road, beginning Saturday at Incarnate Word. Meanwhile, Southeastern has clawed its way back into the NCAA conversation. The Lions won their 5th straight Saturday at Abilene Christian. And this was the critical moment. 3rd quarter, Lions up 8, and on a 4th and goal, they go for it. Lorenzo Nunez to Juwan Dickey, and Southeastern never looked back. The Lions scored 35 straight points to turn the game into a blowout. Eugene Bethea went 65 yards here. The Lions rushed for 443 yards. They're among America's best rushing teams. Nunez threw for 1 score, ran for 3 more. Southeastern started the season with 3 losses. They've now won 5 in a row. But coming up Saturday night, a huge test. The Lions host top 10 ranked Sam Houston State. A win in that one would go a long way towards getting Southeastern into the postseason. Still ahead, we'll check in on the Pelicans, who are looking for their first win against a not-so-great Lakers team tonight. We'll show you how they did when we come back. The Pelicans played bully ball early tonight in Los Angeles. No one could guard DeMarcus Cousins or Anthony Davis inside, but somehow New Orleans doesn't want to do that, although that's their strength. They want to throw up threes, and it nearly cost them win number 1 tonight. This team needs to understand that no one can play with their big man. They can't win playing small ball, but they were able to reclaim the win tonight. Early on, this is what they did, and it worked. Drew Holiday to Anthony Davis. Davis had 27, and the lead was growing. Late 3rd quarter, Ian Clark would get the open 3, and he would knock it down, and the lead was 21 points. But the Pelicans stopped going inside. They stopped playing to their strength, and the young Lakers roared back. Jordan Clarkson for 3, and the lead was quickly down to 11. Then the 4th quarter, the Lakers kept coming. Josh Hart off the miss, gets the rebound and the follow. The Lakers had come all the way back to take the lead. The final 7 minutes, back and forth. Jameer Nelson, in his first game as a Pelican, was a huge difference. He settled things down. He got a 3, and the Pelicans beat the Lakers 119-112.
It's like the stock market is going to adjust itself, but we still got to take good shots, and we did that for most of the game. And then we went through a stretch where I thought we played a little bit selfish, and we tried to do everything off of one pass, and we were doing it before, moving the basketball from side to side. We had a lot of good basket cuts, so it's just another teaching thing that we've got to stay with what really got us there.
He's exactly right, although it's nice when you're teaching things can come in a win. The Pelicans' West Coast trip continues with Portland Tuesday, Sacramento Thursday, then they return home to the Smoothie King Center for a Saturday night date with LeBron and the Cavaliers. We're back with more 4th Down on 4 in a minute. The Saints now play 2 straight at home, playing their best football in at least 3 years. For Andrew Doak, Ricardo LeCompte, producer Danny Rockwell, photographer Adam Ney, and all of us here at Eyewitness Sports, I'm Doug Mouton. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week on 4th Down on 4.